Today, on the Creatorofgarf channel, we will go through every single anime Creatorofgarf me has watched and rank them on a tier list. We got some criteria. We're going to talk about rankings from like decent to good to great to amazing to masterpiece. You're in for a treat. Subscribe, like this video, comment something cool, maybe about your favorite anime or whatever you want to comment, but let's get into the video. I apologize if there's music in the background. My brother is currently playing music very loud. Anyway, so we have a bunch of manga. I think anime. Between 20 and 30 anime listed. Now, some of them are broken up into bits and pieces. Like, for example, JoJo's is by part, not by the entire series, because I think some parts are drastically worse than others, and some parts are just really good. Alright, so we got 4 tiers. Our, like, for scale of 1 to 10, our 1 to 6s are on the decent tier, because there's not really anything under a 6. Our 7s are our great tier, the 8s and 9s are the amazing tier, and then our 10s are our masterpiece tier, as in these are perfection. Perfection. And I will explain why each get their rating or ranking the way they do. Alright, without further ado, let's get into decent tier. Now, we got decent tier. So, I don't really think that any of these are necessarily bad. I just wasn't blown away by them. Or some of them dragged on. So, our first anime in decent tier is JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Part 3 Stardust Crusaders. Now, I'm a huge JoJo fan, but let me tell y'all, this part dragged on way too long. And the writing was good, but it wasn't nuanced. There wasn't. I really enjoy an anime with levels and layers. Also, Kakyoin is like the worst main Joe-bro. Polnareff should have been like that guy. Kakyoin, I don't see the craze about him. I don't get it. But yeah. So, part 3 kind of just dragged on too much, and overall I thought the writing was like just punchy, fighty, like, okay. I just didn't see, it was a great introduction for stands, but it didn't have that depth, complexity, the layers to the part that I usually like from a JoJo's, part. Now we have Demon Slayer. This is probably the lowest rated anime I've ever watched. And you want to know why? Because it's a basic, generic shonen. It does that well. It takes the basic elements of a shonen, and it does that. Good animation, good fighting, but there's nothing really spectacular or amazing about it, nothing unique or completely, utterly different. It is just a basic carbon copy shonen. I was not blown away. I even read the manga to see if maybe it gets better. It does. It goes from a 5 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, but it's still just, it's okay. It's just nothing special. Alright, I'm just gonna do these quickly. A Silent Voice, I wasn't blown away. I thought it was kind of boring, and honestly, the whole heartfelt message, no, it just didn't hit for me. Anohana, emotional. I think I cried, and honestly, it might get a higher rating upon a rewatch, but personally, I just didn't get like really attached to the characters the way I should have, and also, I kept losing attention because I got ADHD, and if you can't keep my attention as an anime, you're probably not as good as you think it is. Paranoia Agent, just forgetful. I remember watching this right before. Actually, I remember watching this was my first anime of 2021, and it was good. I don't really remember much about it. Upon a rewatch, it would probably get like a 7 or an 8, so I remember it had some really cool themes to it. It's not really memorable for me. And Garden of Words, great animation style, great artwork, but personally, for a movie, it felt like a little bit lackluster. Kind of as a standalone comic, it might do well, like a manga, but movie is, Still, I enjoyed it, I just wasn't blown away. Now, that's the conclusion of a decent tier. We're getting some better stuff now. Number 7, the great tier. Let's get into it. First off, in our great tier, JoJo's Part 1. Now you're like, oh my god, he rated Part 1 over Part 3. Yeah, I did. It's a great introduction. Personally, I think Jonathan's a more compelling and more layered character than Jotaro, which I wish he had more screen time. The introduction to Dio was fantastic. The Hamon fights were great. And personally, I think Jonathan's theme is one of the best themes of all the JoJo's. And that's why it gets better than Part 3. Because as an introduction, as a beginning part, it is really, really good. It does a lot in just 8 or 9 episodes. So I gotta give it credit. And personally, I find it to be one of the most enjoyable and easily rewatchable JoJo parts. Also because it's short. But literally, slept on JoJo's part. That's why it gets better than Part 3. And that's 7 a great tier. Alright, Rapid Fire. Fire Force. I loved it, but it's definitely going to end up as a 10 or a 9 once it gets the rest of it animated, because I've read the whole manga, and it's so good. Just we haven't really gotten to, like, the heat of it, hasn't gotten to like the good stuff. Like, it's good right now, it's great. That's why it gets great tier, but it's going to end up as a 9 when it's done, because wow, does it get great. ReZero, I'm going to lie, I hate this because ReZero fans are like a cult. If you think ReZero is anything less than a 10, you're fucking nuts. But personally, I watched all of season 1, I watched half of season 2, and I was like, okay, this is good. It's good, it's great, it's good, like, it has potential, but I don't really like isekais because I just don't find them that interesting. Wow, reborn into another world, and you're trying to either navigate this world or get back to your regular world, like, it just doesn't leave you wondering how it's going to end. Like, I don't know, I just wasn't really tied into it. I don't have any motivation to continue watching. Devilman Crybaby gets a 7. Probably can get an 8 if I rewatched it. I was like 3 episodes into a rewatch, and then I got sidetracked, but I actually really like Devilman Crybaby, and it could get a higher rating. It's just that for me, I really don't know. It's great because I don't think it's amazing or a masterpiece, but I think it deserves a lot better than a decent tier, so Devilman Crybaby is 7. Soul Eater is 7 because I love Soul Eater. It's one of my favorites, but the manga's better, and personally I think the whole ending and the whole, like, what's it called? Retcon, changing everything towards the end, it wasn't necessary. Like, the ending of the manga is great. They should have just stuck with that. We got Daily Lives of High School Boys, which was like a slice of life comedy. I thought it was really funny, and I loved it. It's not worthy of amazing or masterpiece because it's not anything extremely spectacular or special, but it was very entertaining. The humor was great, and I just thought it was a really feel-good anime. And lastly on this list we have Moriarty the Patriot, because I only watched season 1 and I really, really liked it. I just think that it's not going to get a higher rating until I watch season 2 and continue getting for it. But I think the concept is very, very cool. It just feels like kind of a reskin of Death Note. But anyway, great anime. Just need to see more of it. And that concludes great tier. Now we're going to get into the amazing tier, our 8s through 9s. Alright, so, quickly, just get through. JoJo's Part 2, 4, and 5 are all in amazing tier because they all have their unique redeeming qualities. Part 2, oh my god, Joseph Joestar, best Joestar. Just definitely. And also, Hamon fights, insane. Personally, I prefer Hamon over Stans, but that's just me. Part 4, Josuke is awesome. I love this setting, the scenery. Personally, it didn't feel like it dragged on, even though it had a lot of stand fights. And Yoshikage Kira is one of the coolest villains in JoJo's. So, yeah. And then JoJo's Part 5, mostly because I really like the design of the stands, and I just think that, like, Choice of Italy, there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's more layers to this part. And I just really enjoyed Part 5. Also, the soundtrack. It can't be beat. And now we have Dr. Stone, which its manga is better in my opinion, and I finished the manga. It gets like a 9 out of 10 for me for the manga. It gets an 8 for me for anime because it's great. Like I said, but with Fire Force, it needs to progress further into the story for me to really rank it that high. Cowboy Bebop, it's a 9. It's near perfection. It's just I wish it was a little bit longer, and I wish there was a little bit more story, a little bit more episodes. It's just not long enough. And I love Cowboy Bebop. I got a poster of Cowboy Bebop right behind me. My car, my key lanyard is a Cowboy Bebop, and I have like 3 Cowboy Bebop shirts. I'm a big fan, but mostly because I love the aesthetic of it. But still, great, easy 9 out of 10 anime. 9 out of 10, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It would be a 10. I just kind of, I was so distracted with my own personal life while I was watching the 3rd season that I kind of just missed a lot of it. And I feel like if I rewatched it and really paid attention to everything, it would get a 10 out of 10. And I feel like it's worthy of one. It's just due to me being an ADHD, crazy, I can't focus. I'm missing a little bit of context from some of this stuff, so it's not going to be a perfect 10 for me, and that's my fault. It's not a fault of the anime, it's just that I'm missing out on something that I just didn't really pay attention to. Next, we have Death Note. Love Death Note, classic, amazing, great, 9 out of 10 for me. It's just I wouldn't consider it a masterpiece. I just, for me personally, there's a certain, I get like a gut feeling where I can feel something's perfect, or just like near perfect. It's not Death Note. Code Geass gets a 9 out of 10 because, again, it could be 10 out of 10, but just the gut feeling. And also, I don't know, personally, I think the whole thing at the ending is great, but that's just not how things work, though. Anyway, but I do like the ending. It's just that I wish there was a little bit more, like, nuance to the ending. Like, everything's not sunshine and rainbows after that hat. Like, in reality, it wouldn't be like that, but anyway. And lastly, 9 out of 10. Probably, like the on the fence of a 9 to a 10 out of 10. Like, it's so good. Grave of the Fireflies. Holy crap. Incredible. Amazing. I've never cried so hard for an anime movie in my life. holy crap, was this just perfection. If you've never watched Grave of the Fireflies, put down if you're playing on your Switch, playing Pokemon, put that shit down and watch Grave of the Fireflies because it is so fucking good. That concludes our amazing tier. And now we're in masterpiece tier territory. We only have 4 anime. Well, technically, one of them's a franchise anime where it's like there's multiple different pieces of it. But let's start off with the first, low 10 out of 10. Mob Psycho 100. Oh my god. Amazing story. Unique power system. I just love the power system. The animation, holy crap. Mob's character arc and Reagan's character arc, awesome. Side characters like Dimple, just unmatched. And dude, the design, just designs of the ghouls and the spirits and all that, it's so good. And oh my god, every season's finale is just better than the last. I mean, the fights, they just go all out. Personally, my favorite fight is the final fight in season 2, Mob versus the guy with the red hair. I haven't watched Mob Psycho in 2 years, but besides the 3rd season recently. But wow, that's why it gets that low 10 out of 10, but it's still a 10 out of 10. It's still a 10 out of 10, and that's why it gets masterpiece tier. Next, this is a strong 10. It's the middle, Fully Cooley. Now everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, Colin, you're such a sheep. You're such a sheep, man. Everyone thinks Fully Cooley is 10 out of 10, and you're a sheep. You can't even explain why. I can explain why. Because first of all, I think that Naoto is a very relatable character for young boys, and I watched this when I was 15 for the first time. I rewatched it 4 times, and if you count all the half rewatches, I watched it probably 7 times, but I've just never finished some of the rewatches. I love this show. I'm counting the first season, the first 6 episodes. Progression and alternative, they're okay. But Fully Cooley 1, first season, amazing. And they're actually releasing a 4th season called Fully Cooley Grunge, I think, coming out this year, which, very excited. But it has CGI, kind of like Trigun Stampede. So I don't know. I'm kind of doubting it. But let me continue my rant, okay? Sorry, I just want to kind of pause the clip for a sec. Okay, Fully Cooley is such a great representation of adolescence and how it represents each kind of aspect of adolescence through these cyborg alien machine things that, Naruto fights, and how it shows, the power dynamic between an older woman and a young boy, and how, hormones be hormoning and stuff. Listen, I'm not going to do a whole... I could publish a video about why I love Fully Cooley so much. It could be 15, 20 minutes long, but it's just... it hits. Every time I watch it, I just feel like it's speaking to me in a way that I cannot describe. It was made for me to watch, because it really opened my eyes to just swing the bat, which is one of its main messages. Just do it. Like Shia LaBeouf. Just do it. Life will not happen until you swing the bat. You cannot get anything done if you just don't do it first. Failure will come afterwards, but if you get success, it's better than just doing nothing. But anyway, strong 10 out of 10. Now, the top 2 anime I've ever watched. These 2 are just perfection. They are incredible. I mean, I've just never been so unbelievably blown away. So, I will honor them both in the same level. Because personally, it just depends on the day, because one of them could be my favorite or preference on the other, but it just depends on the day. Attack on Titan and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Let me explain. I don't even gotta explain actually, I feel like I don't have to explain. If you've watched them, you know. Attack on Titan is just perfection in every facet. The story, the writing, the plot twist, the characters, the climaxes, the build-up to these climaxes, the twist, just everything. Attack on Titan is perfection. And once they animate that last, 4 or 5 chapters they have left or whatever, it's gonna go down as literally one of the best anime in history. It's literally just flawless. I can't find a flaw with it. You're saying, you're meat riding. You're damn fucking right. It's perfection. I don't care if you're like, oh, there's flaws. Tell me what they are then. Because almost every time I hear a flaw, it's just a blatant misunderstanding of the series. And the inability to, use context clues and, read into a story beyond the surface level. The same people who say this show has flaws and plot holes are the same people who really think that Demon Slayer is the most nuanced and complex and interesting series in the world. But anyway, I don't want to be trashing on people like that. I love Attack on Titan. But now, for my special, my baby, Neon Genesis Evangelion. when I tell you Evangelion has really impacted me, like, it's corny because everyone thinks Attack on Titan is like, oh my god, Neon Genesis Evangelion is like their thing. I have a tattoo of the seal symbol. I love this show. Like, you don't get it. And I'm not even including the show here, like just the show. I'm including the 26 episode anime, the 4 rebuilds, and End of Evangelion the movie, because those are all technically anime. And each one of them is just, in its own way, amazing. And little secret, I prefer the 4 rebuilds over the main series and the End of Evangelion movie, because I think the different ending and the animation style gives a whole new layer of depth and character to Gendo Ikari. And I loved it. I remember watching all 4 of them over the course of 2 days, and just after finishing the 4th one, I remember I had to go somewhere afterwards. I just walked outside, because I was going to my car, and I was like, I just remember being around being like, something feels different. Like, I'm seeing things differently in my life, and I don't know what it is. But after that, I just felt like everything changed, and since then, I feel like my life improved rapidly. And I'm not saying that movie improved my life. That's not what happened, but I just feel like, I don't know. The Evangelion rebuild movies are so slept on, and they're incredible. I mean, they're just, like, perfection. Like, they're just so good. So, yeah. Evangelion just speaks to me in a way that no other anime has ever spoken to me. So, yeah. That's why it gets a solid, not even solid, like a high tier 10 out of 10 with Attack on Titan. Ladies, gentlemen, they, themtlemen, and thental ladies, everyone under every gender spectrum. Trans Ally Classic. Anyway, that concludes rating every anime and manga. Every anime that I've completed. There are some anime that I have not, like Hunter x Hunter and One Piece, but I've actually read the manga for One Piece. I'm caught up. But anyway, point is, I will be making a manga one, which is going to be a lot longer, but a lot more in depth. If you have any disagreements, or you want to debate, actually, I don't want to have debate on this, but point is, that is my rankings. If you disagree, teach their own, but that is what I rank every single anime I finish to completion. Have a great day, guys. This has been Creatorofgarf for another Trans Ally Classic. We got the anime tier list. Hope you all enjoyed this, and hit that subscriber button if you haven't.